Hi friends, welcome to Lisa's Country Kitchen. Today I'm going to be cooking meatloaf, and I'm going to show you how I do mine. There are many ways that you can do meatloaf, but you know, this is just my way. There's always room for addition and subtraction in recipes. You do whatever your family likes. If your family doesn't like some of the ingredients that I use, you can take them out. If your family likes ingredients that I don't use, you can add those. That's totally up to you. This is just my way. And I just thought I'd share. I've had a lot of friends tell me, I love meatloaf, but I've never made it. I don't know how to make it, and they want me to share my recipe. So today, that's what I'm going to do, and this is just how I do it. Now, first off, I'm going to start with the ingredients. I'm using about 2 pounds of ground chuck, okay? And in that ground chuck, we're going to add some breadcrumbs. Now, some people use crushed up crackers. That's perfectly fine. Some people use just loaf bread and chop it into little cubes, and they use that. That's fine too. I just like the breadcrumbs myself. I use a little bit of ketchup in my meatloaf, and that's totally up to you too. Some people use barbecue sauce. I don't prefer barbecue sauce in mine, but I do like ketchup. I will be using 1 cut up onion. Now you can use this or not use this in yours, but I'm telling you, it's good this way. You can put as much onion or that you want to in it. That's totally up to you also. I also use bell pepper, which I chopped up. I use 1 egg, and sometimes depending on the size of the egg, I'll use 2. Today I'm going to start with 1. I think that'll be fine. It just basically helps bind the meatloaf together along with your breadcrumbs, and helps it not fall apart. But if you don't pack it real good, and I'll show you that too when I start to put it in the dish, then it's going to crack and bust open anyway. But if you have enough breadcrumbs and egg, more than likely it won't break up. I'm also going to use, y'all know, my all-time favorite seasoning, that is garlic. I'll put a little garlic and a little pepper and a little salt. Okay? And that's all it is for the ingredients. Let's start mixing it up, and let's get it all started. Okay, again, when I cook, I've just been cooking for so many years that I don't normally have a recipe. I can tell you what goes in it, but as far as measurements, I don't do a lot of measuring. I just kind of do everything by eye. So if you just watch, you can kind of, I guess about how many, if you want to do cups or whatever, you can kind of guess about how much that will be. First thing we want to do is, before cooking and using your hands in a dish and meatloaf, well, I guess you don't have to, but I do, is wash your hands. My hands have already been washed. I did before I started. And the first thing I do is go ahead and add my egg. And you just crack that and add that into the meat. Okay. And the next thing I'll do is I'll add my onion. It may not take all of this onion. I'm going to go ahead and put it all in there. Okay. Add your onion in there. Y'all see what I'm doing? I'll move it over just a little bit. Okay. Here we go. The next thing I'm going to do is add my bell pepper, green pepper that I've cut and chopped up. Okay, let's go ahead and put a little salt and pepper. Now, take a little more salt than what you think because it's a lot of meat. And you don't want it to not have any kind of taste, especially if you're like me and you're just using salt and pepper. Well, and a little garlic. I should have got my big pepper thing out. It'll take forever and a day to get enough pepper in here. That should be good. And then we're going to add a little garlic powder, not salt, powder. You don't want to use salt. I guess you could if you didn't use salt in it or you cut back on your salt, but I always use the garlic powder. And sometimes I use minced garlic and stuff. But for the most part, I use garlic powder. Well, that one's gone, but you know, I got a backup. Can't go without the garlic powder. That's just a fact in this house. Okay. I'm going to add a little breadcrumbs. Normally I put a good bit of breadcrumbs. I want to say at least a cup and a half, 2 cups. Again, I just add. Okay. That's probably about a cup and a half from the looks of the container, inside the container. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix this up a little and get some of it incorporated a little bit. And then we'll add the ketchup. In this bowl, I probably could have used 2 eggs. We're going to make one work, hopefully. You want me to be honest? Because one's the only one I got out of this refrigerator in the house. That's the only one I had in this refrigerator in the house. All my extra groceries and eggs and stuff is outside in the garage in the refrigerator. And you know what? I didn't feel like walking out there and getting them. I've had a hard time walking this week. Well, not this week. For 2 weeks I've been in the bed, and as you can see, a lot of times I sit so that you can see the picture and me a little bit better, but this week I've had a hard time standing and sitting. Something, my hips, I think, I know that they've told me I have arthritis. I don't know if it's gotten really bad though. I barely could walk to the bathroom. For the main part, I've been laying in bed for 2 weeks or come sit in the recliner for a little bit and then go lay back down. That's been my life for 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. But I know as soon as I make a doctor's appointment, it'll get better, so I've been holding off. Okay, now let's add a little bit of ketchup. I'm going ahead and touch this with this hand because I'm probably going to use all of this. And I would say, if I can get all this to come out of there, it would probably be about a cup. That's terrible, y'all. I wish they'd quit putting things in squirt bottles. I despise them. I wish they'd put the mustard back in the jars. Somebody told me they still had mustard in a jar, but I haven't seen it. I wish they'd put ketchup back in things where they just pour it out. Of course, I could take the lid off here. And the mayonnaise, whew, I despise that in a squeeze bottle. It's just a hot mess. Okay, now let's mix all this in. Another little suggestion I would make is whenever you're going to make meatloaf, I suggest that you put it out and let it get a little, I'd say, I guess, room temperature. You don't want it real warm. But when you're trying to do this with your hands, and you pretty much need your hands to get this all combined good, it'll freeze your hands off. It's a lot of work squeezing this, unless you're a young person with still lots of muscles, and I definitely ain't. Okay, I think that's good enough. I'm going to go over here and wash my hands and get the dish we're going to put it in, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, everybody, we're back. Now, I'm going to use just this little Pyrex bowl to put this in. And the reason I'm doing this, you can use what they call a meatloaf pan, or they have even Pyrex meatloaf shaped pans. But the one I have here, I took most of them to the country house, is it's too shallow and not big enough for this amount of hamburger meat. But what you want to do is take this and put it into the dish. Did I miss it? I don't think so. Get all the goodness out of here. Leave nothing behind. Okay. Now you can shape this into a meatloaf shape if you want. But what I do is I just take mine and I press on it, press on it, press on it. Because I like my meatloaf packed good to where it don't break apart when you cut it. I like my meatloaf to stay together firm. So I do this. And even if I was doing it in a meatloaf pan or a meatloaf Pyrex dish, I would do this same thing. Now, if you don't care if it breaks all to pieces, and sometimes mine will, I get in a hurry and don't pack it good, then it doesn't really matter. Or if you want to shape it into a loaf without pressing it all out, you can do that too. Sometimes I do that. I made a 4-pound meatloaf one time for my grandkids because they love it. And I had 4 pounds of meatloaf. Well, ground beef, and by the time I added everything else, it was probably more than 5 pounds. I meant 4 pounds. But they love it, we love it. And this is just for me and my husband. I tell you what, when I cook, I usually cook for at least 2 days. We don't, like I said before, we don't really care for anything that's past 2 days. We're over it by then. But, so I do that, and I'm going to tell you another thing we like that's really good is with leftover meatloaf, just take it out of the refrigerator cold. I mean, you could heat it if you want to, but we don't. And make a meatloaf sandwich. Slice it up, make you a meatloaf sandwich. Oh my, that's the best thing ever. If you have never tried that, you need to try it when you make a meatloaf. Okay, and then after I get it pressed what I think is good, depending on what kind of ground beef you use, there'll be a lot of grease. Now, I usually use chuck, which I think is 80-20, but there's still a lot of grease. And so what I do is I take and I make this little, I call it a ditch, around the edge of it. And that way it keeps the grease from boiling out into your oven. But if you don't check it periodically, and what I do is I check it periodically, and then I take it out and I take it and pour the grease off of it and put it back, and that way it keeps the grease from accumulating in here and possibly running over in your stove. Plus, I just don't like a greasy meatloaf. I don't like greasy nothing except fried cabbage. Okay, guys, that's all there is to it. Really easy, really simple, and so good. It's a good meat. I hope you'll all try it. And even if you make yours different, just one day try it like I did it and see how you like it. It's really good. That's just the way I've always done it. That's how I watched and learned how to do it. Except I have to say, my mama didn't put bell pepper. She don't really care for bell pepper. I love it. But anyway, that's all there is to making my meatloaf. It's so easy, so good. And I'm going to put it into the oven. I've got my oven set on 400 because I'm going to try to cook it a little faster today. I'm running behind. But you could do 350. And most of the time it's going to take, if you've got one this big, it's going to take at least an hour for it to fully be done. And again, I don't know how long to tell you. Whenever I pull mine out, I'll try to watch what time I put it in and what time I get it out, and try to give you a time for this size. But I just kind of look at mine because I like mine real crispy, browned, almost burnt looking on the top. And that's just how I like my meatloaf. Now the bottoms and stuff won't be like that, but that's just how we like ours. But I'll try to give you a time. I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's done. And at that time, if I don't forget, because I forget everything, I'll let you know how long it took mine to cook at 400. And I might have to bring it down. But we'll see you in a little bit. I'm back, y'all. Okay, I took the meatloaf out of the oven. It cooked about 1 hour and 35 minutes for that size meatloaf. It took a good while because it was quite thick. But I just come back to show y'all. I had to taste the crumb. It was really good. But anyway, I had to come back and show y'all what it looks like. And y'all ready? Here it is. Doesn't that look yummy? Delicious. Y'all need to try this recipe. It's really good. Really, really good. Okay, y'all. I guess that's it for this evening. Y'all remember that food is for the soul. Isn't that the saying? Y'all go cook you up something good. Try the meatloaf one day. Alright, well, I'm going to go. Y'all have a blessed day. And remember, love's the best ingredient. See y'all next time. Thank y'all for hopping on. And join me next time for my next cooking video. It could be a cutting up video. You just never know what I'll post. Okay, see y'all.